Captain Jack Murphy stood at the viewport of the EDF horizon, staring at the strange object floating silently near Mars' orbit. The metallic probe glinted in the distant sunlight, its unusual curves and markings clearly not of human design. "Are you seeing this, Command?" Murphy asked, his voice steady despite the excitement building in his chest. "Affirmative, Captain," replied General Henry Rogers through the comm. "Our first confirmed extraterrestrial technology. Stand by for instructions." The bridge crew worked quietly, tension filling the air. Lieutenant Kate Dawson monitored sensor readings, her eyes wide with amazement. "Sir, it's transmitting something," she said. "Not radio waves. Some kind of quantum communication we've never seen before." Murphy nodded. "Keep your distance. No aggressive moves." Within hours, the probe sent a clear message in multiple Earth languages. Humanity was not alone, and the Galactic Council wished to establish formal contact. 3 weeks later, Dr. Olivia Grant led the preparation of Earth's first diplomatic team. As the leading xenolinguist and cultural expert, she felt the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. "Remember, we represent all of humanity," she told the assembled diplomats and military officers in the briefing room. "Whatever impressions we make will affect our species for generations." Murphy, selected as military liaison, frowned at the mission parameters. "They're allowing us to bring only basic defensive weapons. That puts us at a significant disadvantage." Grant sighed. "It's their station, their rules. We're the newcomers here. I don't like walking in blind," Murphy replied. "None of us do," Grant said. "But this is our chance to join something bigger than ourselves." The human delegation departed Earth aboard the newly commissioned diplomatic vessel Unity. The ship traveled to the coordinates provided by the Council, where a swirling portal of energy appeared, their first encounter with faster-than-light technology. When they emerged, a massive space station loomed before them, a sprawling structure larger than anything humans had built. Ships of various designs moved around it like fish in a coral reef. "My God," whispered Commander Ryan Powell as he guided the Unity toward their designated docking area. "There must be dozens of different species here." The welcoming committee consisted of 6 different alien species. The apparent leader stood nearly 8 feet tall with iridescent scales and 4 arms. It introduced itself as High Counselor Zixnar. "Humans of Earth," the translator device conveyed. "Welcome to Harmony Station, seat of the Galactic Council, that has maintained peace among 300 species for 12,000 years. Grant stepped forward. "We're honored to be invited. Earth looks forward to peaceful relations with all Council species." The initial meeting proceeded smoothly until security protocols were discussed. When Murphy outlined standard Earth defensive capabilities, strange sounds erupted from several Council members. "They're laughing," Grant whispered, her face flushing. Zixnar spoke to another counselor in their native tongue before addressing the humans. "Forgive our reaction. It's been many cycles since we encountered a species still using kinetic projectile weapons and nuclear fission technology." Murphy's jaw tightened. "Our weapons may not match yours, but they serve our defense needs." This prompted more laughter. A short, furry delegate pointed at Murphy's sidearm. "It propels metal with chemical explosions? How quaint. Like children playing with sticks." Zixnar raised a hand for quiet. "Humans will learn. All species begin somewhere, though most advance beyond such primitive methods before reaching space." The meeting continued, but the damage was done. Grant noticed how the Council members spoke down to them, explaining concepts as one might to children. As they returned to their quarters, Murphy's face was grim. "They think we're jokes, barely spacefaring apes with toys," Grant nodded. "This isn't the welcome I expected." "No," Murphy said, looking out at the alien ships surrounding the station. "And I don't think they have any idea who they're dealing with." Lieutenant Sam Wilson moved silently through the data archives of Harmony Station, his access badge cloned from an unsuspecting maintenance worker. Earth's military had insisted on sending intelligence personnel alongside the diplomatic team, a decision that now seemed wise. The Council's central computer system was surprisingly easy to infiltrate. Either they didn't expect humans to understand their technology, or they simply didn't view them as a threat. Both assumptions would prove costly. Wilson downloaded files to his specialized device, designed to appear as standard Earth technology while containing far more advanced components. Earth had recovered alien technology from crashed ships over the decades, reverse engineering what they could while keeping their discoveries secret. "Jackpot," he whispered, as classified council reports appeared on his screen. Meanwhile, in the IUO Grand Meeting Hall, the Galactic Council's military committee reviewed Earth's defensive capabilities. Captain Murphy and Dr. Grant sat silently as alien military experts displayed holographic models of Earth weapons. "As you can see," said Admiral Krell, a reptilian being with metallic implants covering half his face, "human vessels rely primarily on chemical rockets and basic nuclear fusion engines. Their weapons are almost entirely projectile-based or nuclear warheads." The committee members exchanged amused glances. "How do they expect to defend their system with such technology?" asked a gelatinous being whose translucent body pulsed with light. "They don't even have basic shield technology," another added. "A single Vraxian cruiser could conquer their entire planet." Murphy kept his face neutral despite the burning anger in his chest. Dr. Grant placed a warning hand on his arm. "Hi." Counselor Zixnar activated a projection showing Earth. "We propose restricting human development in several technological areas for the next 100 cycles. This is for their own protection, of course. New species often destroy themselves when advancing too quickly." "And what limitations would these include?" Dr. Grant asked carefully. "Weapons technology, primarily. Energy shields, antimatter manipulation, quantum weaponry, the standard restrictions." Zixnar waved dismissively. "You'll be allowed supervised development of medical and agricultural advancements, so we remain defenseless against more advanced species?" Murphy asked. "The Council provides protection to all member worlds," Admiral Krell replied. "Your primitive defenses won't be needed." After the meeting, the Earth delegation gathered in their assigned quarters. Security scans had confirmed the room was bugged, so they spoke carefully. "They see us as children," Dr. Grant said, passing Murphy a tablet with innocent tourist information about Harmony Station. Hidden beneath was a message: "Urgent, Wilson found something. Perhaps we should enjoy the amenities while we're here," Murphy replied, tapping a response. "Meet at location Alpha." That night, while most of the delegation attended a council reception, Wilson, Murphy, and Grant met in a maintenance corridor Wilson had discovered was free of surveillance. "They're planning to contain us," Wilson said, showing them the stolen files. "The Council has designated Earth as a Category 3 civilization, minimal threat potential, suitable for resource extraction and eventual cultural assimilation. They've already allocated mining rights in our system to 3 different species," Grant said, reading through the data, "without even consulting us." Murphy reviewed a military assessment. "They've assigned minimal security to monitor Earth, a single patrol vessel for the entire system." "Because they think we're harmless," Wilson added. Murphy's eyes narrowed. "We need to inform Earth immediately. If the Council won't respect us as equals, we need to accelerate Project Thunderbolt. Using Council technology against them would violate every agreement we're signing," Grant warned. "Only if they discover it," Murphy replied. "Besides, they've already decided our fate without our input. We're just evening the odds." Wilson nodded toward his communication device. "Earth Command is standing by for our assessment. What do we tell them?" Murphy looked at his colleagues, his decision made. "Tell them to activate Phase 2. It's time the Council learned that appearances can be deceiving." The Vraxian mining vessel emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Kuiper Belt, its massive hull bristling with extraction equipment. Captain Drozak watched as his crew began scanning for valuable mineral deposits in the frozen planetoids that marked the boundary of the Sol system. "Begin operations in Sector 12, he ordered. "The humans won't even notice we're here." Back on Earth, alarm bells rang through military command as advanced sensors detected the unauthorized incursion. Admiral Lisa Chen studied the feed with narrowed eyes. "How many ships?" she asked the technician. "Just one mining vessel, ma'am, but it's huge," nearly 2 miles long, and our scans show it carries defensive capabilities that outmatch anything we officially have. Chen nodded grimly. Send our formal protest to the Council, but don't expect much, and dispatch the USS Defiant to observe. Captain Murphy knows how to handle delicate situations. On Harmony Station, Dr. Grant stood before a panel of bored-looking council members, her frustration barely contained. The Vraxian vessel entered our system without permission, she explained for the third time. Under your own charter, member species must respect the territorial boundaries of others. High Counselor Zixnar flicked a dismissive hand. The Kuiper Belt is barely within your system, Doctor, and the Vraxians have mining rights in 17 sectors. Your protest is noted, but denied. On what grounds? Grant demanded. A Vraxian representative, his armored exoskeleton gleaming under the chamber lights, leaned forward. Technological claim priority. Species without the means to exploit resources cannot claim exclusive rights. It's basic council law. So because we haven't mined there yet? Because you can't, interrupted another counselor. Your ships would take decades to reach those regions and return. The resources would be wasted. Grant left the chamber seething. In the corridor, she activated her secure communicator. They're not budging. The Vraxians claim we don't have the technology to utilize those regions, so we have no exclusive claim. Understood, came Admiral Chen's reply. We're moving to Phase 3. In Earth orbit, massive construction platforms that had supposedly been building civilian habitats suddenly changed configuration. Hidden compartments opened, revealing advanced weapon systems that Earth officially shouldn't possess. Lieutenant Wilson, now back on Earth, oversaw the installation of the first Thunderbolt defense platform. Its outward appearance resembled standard Earth technology, but its core contained elements reverse-engineered from crashed alien ships and enhanced by human innovation. Remember, he told his team, maintain regular communications protocols. Nothing that would suggest we're doing anything beyond standard satellite deployment. Meanwhile, the USS Defiant approached the Vraxian mining operation. Captain Murphy watched from the bridge as the alien vessel carved up a distant planetoid, its energy beams slicing through ice and rock with terrible efficiency. Keep us just outside their sensor range, Murphy ordered. Record everything but maintain stealth protocols. His communications officer turned from her console. Sir, we're picking up transmissions. More Vraxian ships are incoming. Military vessels this time. Murphy frowned. How many? 3 cruisers and what appears to be a command ship. They're establishing a permanent presence. Back on Earth, Admiral Chen reviewed the Defiant's intelligence. The holographic display showed Vraxian ships establishing what was clearly a military outpost on Pluto. They're claiming our dwarf planet now, she said to the assembled Joint Chiefs. This isn't just mining, it's a staged invasion. General Frank Miller nodded grimly. The Council's giving them cover to establish a foothold in our system. Once they're entrenched, they'll move inward. Then we need to accelerate our timeline, Chen decided. Is Thunderbolt ready? The first 5 platforms are operational, Miller confirmed, hidden in plain sight as weather satellites and communications arrays. On Harmony Station, a Council intelligence officer named Krita filed an unusual report. Human communication traffic had increased by 300% in the past cycle. Their ships were moving with purpose, and unusual energy signatures had been detected in Earth orbit. Something's happening, Krita told his superior. The humans aren't behaving like a species that's been put in its place. They're primitive, but not stupid, his commander replied. Monitor them closely. If they attempt anything foolish, the Vraxians will teach them a valuable lesson. The blue-white sphere of Pluto, once considered the 9th planet of the solar system, now hosted a growing Vraxian military installation. Construction drones swarmed across its surface, building defensive emplacements and processing facilities. Commander Drogath watched the progress from his flagship, the inevitable conquest. Phase 1 complete, his executive officer reported. Mining operations are extracting rare elements at 200% of projected efficiency. The humans have no idea what resources they've been sitting on. Drogath's mandibles clicked in amusement. And their diplomatic protests? Dismissed by the Council as expected. We've been granted provisional governance rights over this, what did they call it? Dwarf planet? Such primitive classifications, Drogath chuckled. Begin Phase 2. Move our defensive perimeter inward to the orbit of Neptune. The Council has approved our security corridor. On Earth, the United Nations Security Council met in emergency session. Admiral Chen presented the latest intelligence gathered by the USS Defiant. The Vraxians have established a military base on Pluto, she explained, pointing to high-resolution images. Their ships are now moving toward Neptune. This is no longer about mining rights. It's a military incursion into our solar system. President Alan Rodriguez studied the images with a grave expression. And the Galactic Council's response to our protests? They claim the Vraxians are establishing a security corridor to protect their mining operations from potential interference. Dr. Grant replied. Essentially, they're sanctioning this invasion. We've exhausted diplomatic options, General Miller added. The Council doesn't take us seriously. They believe we lack the capability to defend our outer system. The President nodded slowly. Then it's time to show them otherwise. Prepare the ultimatum. 12 hours later, Captain Murphy stood on the bridge of the USS Defiant. His ship now positioned between the advancing Vraxian fleet and Neptune. Transmission ready, sir, reported his communications officer. Send it, Murphy ordered. On the inevitable conquest, Commander Drogath received the human message with surprise. They're ordering us to withdraw from Sol system within 24 Earth hours, his translator explained. All Vraxian military assets must pull back beyond the heliosphere. Drogath burst into laughter, his crew joining in. Or what? They'll shoot at us with their chemical rockets? Send our response. The Vraxian Empire acknowledges their protest and summarily rejects it. On Harmony Station, an emergency council session convened as news of the human ultimatum spread. Representatives from 30 species gathered to discuss this unexpected development. The humans have gone mad, declared the Vraxian delegate. They threat us with their primitive weapons. One of our cruisers could destroy their entire fleet. Hi. Counselor Zixnar raised his 4 hands for silence. Dr. Grant, surely you understand the foolishness of this position. Your species cannot hope to enforce such demands. Olivia Grant stood calmly before the council. We have claimed these worlds for centuries. The Vraxians entered our system without permission and have established military installations on our planetary bodies. We simply demand they leave. And if they refuse? Asked Krita, the intelligence officer who had been monitoring Earth's activities. Then we will remove them, Grant said simply. The chamber erupted in laughter. Even Zixnar couldn't maintain his diplomatic composure. With what? The Vraxian delegate sputtered. Your chemical explosives? Your nuclear toys? Grant didn't respond. To the mockery, her face impassive. Back in Sol system, the deadline approached. Admiral Chen stood in Earth's Unified Defense Command Center, surrounded by military leaders from nations that had once been enemies. All Thunderbolt platforms online, reported Lieutenant Wilson. Fleet positions optimal. The Vraxians are advancing, another officer announced. 6 warships now moving past Neptune's orbit. They're ignoring the ultimatum, Chen nodded grimly. They've made their choice. Contact the President. President Rodriguez's face appeared on the main screen. Admiral, is there any indication they'll withdraw? No, sir. They're advancing deeper into our system. Then you have my authorization. Execute Thunderbolt protocol. Chen turned to her communications officer. Send the code to all ships. Operation First Shot is a go. The Vraxian fleet moved with confident precision through the space near Uranus, their formation perfect after thousands of years of interstellar warfare. Commander Drogath lounged in his command chair aboard the inevitable Conquest, watching sensor readings of the small human vessels that dared to position themselves in his path. Look at them, he said to his executive officer. Their largest ship is barely a quarter the size of ours, and their weapons, primitive chemical accelerators and nuclear warheads. The scouts report they've arranged themselves in a defensive screen, his officer replied, as if they actually intend to engage us. Drogath clicked his mandibles in amusement. Brave, but foolish. Open a channel. Let me explain their situation before we're forced to educate them properly. Aboard the USS Defiant, Captain Murphy received the incoming transmission. On screen, he ordered, his voice calm despite the tension filling the bridge. The alien commander's insectoid face appeared, mandibles moving as he spoke through the translator. Human vessels. This is Commander Drogath of the Vraxian Empire. Your presence constitutes an interference with Council-sanctioned operations. You have two options. Withdraw immediately or be destroyed. Your primitive weapons cannot penetrate our shields. Murphy exchanged glances with his tactical officer before responding. This is Captain Jack Murphy of Earth Defense Fleet. You are in violation of Earth territorial sovereignty. The Council has no authority to grant mining or military rights in our system without our consent. Withdraw your forces beyond the heliosphere. Laughter echoed from the alien bridge. You misunderstand your position in the galactic order, human. We will demonstrate. The transmission cut. Immediately, Murphy activated his secure channel. All ships, activate Thunderbolt systems. Authorization code, Prometheus. Throughout the small Earth fleet, hidden systems came online. Weapon ports that had appeared to house conventional missiles reconfigured, revealing technology that officially didn't exist. On each ship, power cores that had seemed like standard fusion reactors suddenly channeled energy in ways no Council species would expect from primitive humans. Thunderbolt systems online, reported Lieutenant Kelly Barnes, tactical officer of the Defiant. Target locked on Vraxian flagship. Murphy took a deep breath. Admiral Chen, request final authorization to engage. From Earth Command, Admiral. Chen's voice came through clearly. Captain Murphy, you are authorized to fire the first shot. Show them what humanity is capable of. Fire. The Defiant released what appeared to be a small, unimpressive missile. The Vraxians didn't even bother to adjust their defensive posture, their sensors registering the approaching object as a standard human nuclear weapon. They fired something. Drogath's tactical officer reported with amusement. A single missile. Shall I swat it away? Don't waste energy, Drogath replied. Let our shields handle it. Record the impact. It will make for entertaining viewing at the Council. The missile approached the Vraxian flagship, then suddenly split into 5 smaller projectiles. Still, the aliens remained unconcerned. Then, milliseconds before impact, the projectiles phased, shifting partially out of normal space-time, a technology the Vraxians believed impossible for humans to possess. The phased projectiles passed through the Vraxian shields as if they weren't there. Upon contact with the hull, they unleashed a controlled quantum reaction that bypassed the ship's advanced armor. Alarms blared across the inevitable conquest as systems failed throughout the massive vessel. Drogath was thrown from his command chair as explosions ripped through the bridge. Shields failing, hull breaches on multiple decks, his officer screamed. How is this possible? Across the Vraxian fleet, captains watched in horror as their supposedly invincible flagship listed helplessly in space, secondary explosions rippling along its length. All Vraxian vessels, Murphy broadcast on an open channel. Your flagship is disabled. We targeted non-essential systems to minimize casualties. This was a demonstration. The next volley will not be so merciful. Withdraw from Sol system immediately. In the stunned silence that followed, emergency distress calls flooded from the damaged Vraxian vessel to their fleet. The supposedly primitive humans had somehow bypassed shields that could withstand the weapons of the most advanced Council races. On Harmony Station, the Council viewing chamber erupted in chaos as they watched the impossible unfold on their monitors. The humans had fired the first shot and it had changed everything. The emergency Council chamber pulsed with alarm lights as representatives from 30 species shouted over one another. Footage of the disabled Vraxian flagship played on the central holographic display, showing the massive vessel venting atmosphere and drifting powerlessly. Impossible, shouted the Vraxian delegate, his armored exoskeleton clicking with agitation. Those weapons should not exist. The humans have violated Council technology restrictions. High Counselor Zixnar struggled to maintain order, his four arms raised for silence. Please, we must approach this crisis rationally. Dr. Olivia Grant stood calmly in the center of the chamber, her face betraying no emotion as accusations flew from all sides. She had been summoned the moment news of the battle reached Harmony Station. Dr. Grant, Zixnar finally managed, when the chamber quieted slightly. Your species has employed weapons technology far beyond your registered capabilities. Explain this deception immediately. Grant clasped her hands behind her back. There was no deception, Counselor. You never asked. If we possessed advanced weaponry, you assumed we didn't. Your official technological submission clearly listed only chemical propellants and nuclear fission, shouted a gelatinous representative, its body pulsing angry red. We listed our commonly used technologies, Grant replied evenly. As is our right under Section 12 of the Council Charter, which states new members need only disclose technologies in common usage. Prototype systems remain classified under sovereignty protection clauses. Krita, the intelligence officer who had warned about unusual human activity, stepped forward. The humans did not lie. We simply failed to ask the right questions. He turned to the council. Consider, they allowed us to underestimate them. A new transmission appeared on the central display. Admiral Chen's face filled the screen, her uniform immaculate, her expression serious. This is Admiral Lisa Chen of Earth Defense Force. The Vraxian incursion into our system has been contained. Their flagship is disabled, but life support remains functional. We have no desire for unnecessary casualties, the Vraxian delegate hissed. Your attack was unprovoked, an act of war. Chen's expression didn't change. We issued a clear ultimatum that was ignored. The Vraxians established military installations on Pluto without permission and advanced armed vessels into our system. By council law, these actions constitute invasion of sovereign territory. Zixnar looked shaken. Admiral, your weapons, they penetrated Vraxian shields. That technology is classified as Category 1 restricted. Our Thunderbolt system is entirely of human design, Chen responded. We combined principles of quantum phase displacement with targeted particle acceleration. If you check council records, you'll find no prohibition against technologies independently developed by member species. The chamber erupted again. Grant remained still as accusations and demands for sanctions flew around her. Enough! Zixnar finally shouted, silencing the chamber. The situation has clearly changed. Admiral Chen, what are Earth's terms? Chen's image was replaced by President Rodriguez. Our terms are simple. Immediate withdrawal of all Vraxian forces from our system. Recognition of Earth's full sovereignty over all bodies within our heliosphere, and immediate elevation to full council membership with all associated rights and privileges. Outrageous, the Vraxian delegates sputtered. They attack our ships and demand rewards? We defended our territory, President Rodriguez corrected, and we request only what should have been offered initially, equal standing. Zixnar conferred quietly with several senior counselors before responding. The council will need to deliberate on these terms. Of course. Rodriguez nodded. You have 6 hours. After that, we will consider your silence as rejection and take appropriate measures to secure our system. When the transmission ended, the chamber exploded into frantic discussions. Dr. Grant was approached by Krita, who studied her with newfound respect. Your species concealed its true capabilities masterfully, he said quietly. How many other secrets are you hiding? Grant offered a small smile. That would defeat the purpose of secrets, wouldn't it? Outside the chamber, footage of the battle spread across galactic networks. Species that had never heard of humans suddenly found themselves studying Earth with intense interest. The supposedly primitive newcomers had just disabled a Vraxian warship, something few council races could accomplish. In private chambers, Zixnar reviewed intelligence reports with growing alarm. If humans had developed such weapons independently, what else might they be capable of? The Council's most secure intelligence chamber lay deep within Harmony Station, shielded from all known forms of surveillance. Here, 12 senior intelligence directors from the dominant council species gathered around a table laden with data screens. The mood was somber as Director Krita presented his findings. Our initial assessment of human technological development was catastrophically wrong, he began, activating a holographic display showing the disabled Vraxian flagship. The weapon they deployed, this Thunderbolt system, combines principles that should be beyond their understanding. Could they have stolen the technology? Asked a Medusan director, her snake-like hair writhing with agitation. Krita shook his head. We've analyzed the energy signatures. It's not Vraxian, not Halaxian, not identical to any known council species weapons. He paused. But there are similarities. He displayed a new hologram showing comparative energy patterns. The quantum phasing resembles Andromedan technology, but with modifications. The targeting system has elements similar to Tzila designs. The implications settled heavily on the gathered directors. They've been studying us, whispered the Volcran representative. For how long? On Earth, Lieutenant Sam Wilson led Admiral Chen through the underground complex known as Facility Zero. Buried beneath the Rocky Mountains, it had officially never existed. Now, with Earth's technological capabilities exposed, secrecy was less important than preparation. Project Thunderbolt wasn't our first breakthrough, Wilson explained, as they passed laboratories filled with scientists studying alien technology. It was just the first we were forced to demonstrate publicly. They stopped before a massive vault door. Wilson placed his hand on a scanner, then spoke clearly. Authorization, Wilson Omega 73. The vault opened to reveal a cavernous hangar. Inside sat the wreckage of 3 different alien craft. The first crashed in 1947, Wilson said, gesturing to the smallest craft. The public called it Roswell. We called it First Contact. The others came later, 2003 in the Pacific Ocean and 2017 in Antarctica. Chen nodded, already familiar with this history. And from these wrecks we built Thunderbolt. Not exactly, Wilson corrected. We didn't copy their technology. We couldn't. It was too advanced. Instead, we studied the principles and developed our own applications based on human understanding. That's why our weapons worked differently than anything the Council has seen. Meanwhile, aboard the USS Defiant, Captain Murphy received an urgent transmission from Earth. His executive officer, Commander Diane Foster, handed him the decoded message with concern in her eyes. Lieutenant Wilson's intelligence team intercepted Council communications, she explained. A faction led by the Vraxians is pushing for immediate military action against Earth before we can deploy more weapons. Murphy studied the report grimly. So much for diplomacy. Are the other ships ready? All 5 vessels report Thunderbolt systems at full capacity. The orbital platforms are also online. And Plan Omega? Foster lowered her voice. Ready, but God help us if we need to use it. Back on Harmony Station, Dr. Grant continued negotiations while secretly gathering intelligence. Using a device disguised. As a standard translator, she recorded conversations and scanned restricted databases whenever possible. During a recess in the emergency session, she slipped into a quiet corridor to transmit her findings. What she'd discovered chilled her. Council records showed dozens of Category 3 civilizations that had been systematically exploited. Their resources harvested while their technological development was deliberately stunted. Earth had nearly become another victim in a long pattern of manipulation. As Grant prepared to return to the chamber, a shadow fell across her path. Krita stood watching, his large eyes unblinking. Gathering more secrets, Dr. Grant? He asked softly. Grant's hand moved subtly toward the emergency beacon hidden in her sleeve. Just reviewing my notes, Director. I think not. Krita stepped closer. I've been studying your species intensively since the incident. Your history is fascinating. Thousands of years of warfare, conquest, resistance, innovation. While Council species evolved toward cooperation, humans evolved through conflict. We've learned to value peace, Grant countered. Perhaps. But you never forgot how to fight. Krita's voice dropped lower. The Council has underestimated you. I will not make the same mistake. Grant tensed, prepared for arrest or worse. Instead, Krita extended a data crystal. This contains classified information about Council plans to contain Earth. Some of us believe the old ways must change. He fixed her with an intense stare. Your species may force that change, if you survive what comes next. The Galactic Council chamber was silent as the final vote was tallied. After 3 days of heated debate, the outcome had never been certain until this moment. High Counselor Zixnar, looking noticeably older than he had a week before, rose to announce the results. By a vote of 127 to 89, with 15 abstentions, the Council recognizes Earth as a full member with all associated rights and privileges, including maintenance of independent military forces. Dr. Olivia Grant kept her expression neutral, though inside she felt a surge of relief. Earth's gamble had paid off. Behind her, the Vraxian delegation stormed from the chamber, their defeat bitter after centuries of unchallenged dominance. The Vraxian Empire will comply with the withdrawal order, Zixnar continued. All military assets will be removed from Sol system within 5 standard cycles. Furthermore, the Council formally apologizes for the disrespect shown to human representatives. As the session ended, Grant was approached by representatives from a dozen species who had previously ignored her. Now they offered alliances, trade agreements, and cultural exchanges. Humanity's demonstration of hidden strength had transformed them from curiosities to valued partners overnight. In Earth orbit, Admiral Chen watched as the last Vraxian warships prepared to depart. Their once mighty flagship, now partially repaired, limped alongside smaller escort vessels. They're transmitting a final message, reported her communications officer. Put it through, Chen ordered. Commander Drogath's face appeared, his mandibles tight with suppressed rage. This withdrawal is temporary, human. The Vraxian Empire does not forget humiliation. Chen nodded calmly. Nor does Earth forget invasion. Attempts. Safe journey, Commander. I suggest you not return. On the surface below, preparations were underway for humanity's new role in galactic politics. President Rodriguez addressed a special United Nations session. Representatives from all nations gathered to hear the new reality. For centuries, we looked to the stars and wondered if we were alone, he began. Now we know we're not. And we've learned our place in the galaxy will not be handed to us. We must claim it. He gestured to Captain Murphy, newly promoted to Admiral, who stood at attention nearby. I hereby establish the Interstellar Fleet Command, with Admiral Murphy as its first commander. This unified force will defend not just Earth but all human interest throughout the stars. Applause filled the chamber as Murphy stepped forward to accept his commission. We faced our first test united, Murphy said simply. We must remain so to survive what comes next. In the secure facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, Lieutenant Wilson oversaw the expansion of research efforts. Scientists from nations that had once been enemies now worked side by side, studying both alien technology and improving human innovations. Project Thunderbolt was just the beginning, he told his international team. Now we develop not just weapons, but everything we need to stand equal among the stars. On Harmony Station, Dr. Grant led a special committee tasked with reforming Council protocols. Her first proposal, requiring respect and equality for all member species regardless of technological development, passed with surprising support. Krita, now serving as her unofficial advisor, watched with satisfaction. You've changed everything, he told her privately. Many species suffered as the Council planned for Earth. They now look to humans as champions. We never wanted that role, Grant replied. We just wanted fair treatment. Often the greatest leaders are those who never sought power, Krita observed. 1 standard year later, a new class of human ships launched from Earth. Sleeker and more advanced than their predecessors, they incorporated both human innovation and carefully adapted alien principles. As they moved beyond the solar system for the first time, their crews carried the hopes of all humanity. On a distant world, in a quiet academic institution, a class of young aliens studied recent galactic history. Their professor, a veteran of The diplomatic corps displayed images of Earth and its people. The human incident teaches us an essential lesson, he told his students. Never judge a species by appearances alone. The council mocked human weapons until the first shot fired. That shot changed the balance of power throughout known space. A student raised a tentacle. Professor, could it happen again? Could another species surprise us? The professor looked thoughtful. The galaxy is vast with many secrets. The humans taught us humility, perhaps the most valuable lesson of all. In his office overlooking Earth's new spaceport, Admiral Murphy watched the stars, wondering what challenges awaited among them. The first shot had been fired, but the journey had only just begun.